Then the all-creating sovereign mind of perfect purity taught how the teaching of the retinue's teachers becomes an error and a fault. O great Bodhisattva, listen! The three teachings of the three teachers instructing the retinues are erroneous and faulty. If you ask, how can that be? I reply, the 6 vehicles of obtaining results are in error as to the great perfection. If you ask, how can that be? I reply, the followers of the Bodhisattva Sutras, in their desire for the 11th stage called All Light, assert that reality is empty like the sky because they have examined it with the 2 truths. But as to the great bliss of Ati Yoga, the mind of perfect purity is beyond such examination. These sutras are at fault with regard to transcending such examination. In order to transcend such examination, the sutras are the wrong instrument. In order to understand and examine the great perfection, the sutras I declare to be the wrong instrument. Those who desire to gain the diamond-like Kriya Yoga will continue to purify the 3 doors of body, speech, and mind, and to maintain the notion of purifying the objects and of subject-object dichotomy. But the great bliss of the Ati Yoga is the mind of perfect purity, which is beyond a subject-object oriented concept. In order to overcome the subject-object oriented concept, the Kriya Yoga is at fault. In order to grasp the great perfection, by applying a subject-object oriented concept, I declare the entire Kriya Yoga to be an error. Those who pursue the doctrinal views and practices of Upa-yoga try to achieve the aim of yoga by carrying out rituals, but they will fail to intuit the issue of non-duality because this issue is not associated with doctrinal views and religious practice. With regard to the great bliss of Ati Yoga, you must know that it is the non-dual mind of perfect purity. With regard to its non-duality, the Upa-yoga is at fault. As to distinguishing the great perfection in terms of duality, the Upa-yoga I declare to be at fault. Those who desire to be solidly established in the yoga may enter the door of investigating whether or not characteristics do exist, and they may make the 4 seals their main point, but they will not be capable of entering that which is beyond acquiring and rejecting. The great bliss of Ati Yoga is the mind of perfect purity, which is without acquiring and rejecting. As to realizing to be without acquiring and rejecting, the yoga is at fault. As to applying a philosophy of acquiring and rejecting to the great perfection, the yoga I declare to be at fault. Those who desire the transfiguration into Vajradhara by means of Mahayoga may enter the door of practicing method and wisdom. They may successfully perform the 4 religious services in the mandala of their purified personality. But as to the great bliss of Ati Yoga, the mind of perfect purity is beyond striving and achieving. For this reason, Mahayoga is at fault when it comes to transcending striving and achieving. As to applying a philosophy of striving and achieving to the great perfection, Mahayoga I declare to be at fault. Those who desire the stage of unspecified Anu-yoga may enter the door to the dimension of reality and to pristine awareness, but they will still view the transfigured true dimension of reality as cause for all sentient beings, and the mandala of pristine awareness their result. The great bliss of Ati Yoga is the mind of perfect purity, which is beyond cause and result. As to transcending causation, the Anu-yoga is at fault. If a view of causation as 2 distinct concepts is applied to the great perfection, the Anu-yoga I declare to be at fault. I teach that considering causation and fruition as 2 different things is an error and a fault. O great Bodhisattva, as to any practice or theory applicable to the great perfection, there is nothing which resembles an achievement based on causation. As to a practice or theory applicable to the mind of perfect purity, it should be of the nature of the sky, and the sky transcends all theorizing. Those who engage in theorizing will not achieve the mind of perfect purity, which is like the sky. Those who are occupied with such concepts as subject and object with regard to the sky-like own being and to doctrinal views and practice will not achieve the sky-like mind of perfect purity. They will be at fault and wrong by assuming that subject and object originate as 2 different entities. Those who consider theory and practice as two things will not realize the perfect sky-like purity, for the reason that they distinguish as two things whatever exists, be it the sky, which actually is not two, or the mind of perfect purity, which actually is not two. They will be at fault and wrong by assuming that subject and object originate as two different entities. As the mind of perfect purity is of a sky-like nature, and there is no striving nor achieving with regard to the sky, those who engage in striving and achieving will not realize the sky-like perfect purity of the mind. They will be at fault and wrong by assuming that adopting and rejecting emerge as two different things. As the mind of perfect purity is of a sky-like nature, and as there is no striving nor achieving with regard to the sky, those who engage in striving and achieving will not realize the sky-like perfect purity of the mind. They will be at fault and wrong by assuming that achievements are made due to striving. As the mind of perfect purity is of a sky-like nature, and as there is no cause or result of the sky, those who consider cause and result as two things will not realize the sky-like perfect purity of the mind. They will be at fault and wrong by considering cause and result as two things. O great Bodhisattva, the nature of all things is like the sky, but as to the sky, it does not have this nature. There is also no simile which could apply to the sky. There is also no measure which could apply to the sky. All things without remainder should essentially be known this way. O great Bodhisattva, you ought to intuit this. Each vehicle has its own doctrinal view. As to the central vigor of a doctrinal view, there is no other essence than that about reality, the mind of perfect purity. But such central vigor does not exist in other doctrinal views. Therefore, what is called a doctrinal view is declared by me to be a doctrinal view of error. Each vehicle has its own salutary deeds. Because the perfect purity is perfect in itself, there is nothing to be sought through salutary deeds. Through activity, nothing will become perfected in itself. Seeking results through salutary deeds, I declare, is an error. Each vehicle has its own stages of spiritual progress. Because the Buddhas are the three times, the teachers present three manifestations, all the sentient beings of this threefold world, and whatever appears, animated or inanimated, is in the mind of perfect purity, the state of the great perfection. There is no progress by practicing the Bodhisattva stages. Progressing by practice of the Bodhisattva stages and the paths, I declare, is an error. Each vehicle has its own perception of reality. In the great perfection, reality is the mind of perfect purity. As there are no things except the mind, all doctrines of the different vehicles are the mind of perfect purity. Attempting to perceive reality, I declare, is an error. In the great perfection, the self-originated pristine awareness should not be made an object of speculative thinking. No speculation, no movement, pristine awareness. Such she spoke. This is the 38th chapter of the all-creating sovereign, mind of perfect purity, in which is explained the errors and faults as to doctrinal views and religious practice.